Hey, welcome back to another episode of Latravia's Kitchen, and today we are making some mini cinnamon vanilla cheesecakes. Now, I find these to be really comforting to me. We're going to be making the cheesecake. We're going to be making this little whipped cream icing to go on top with cream cheese as well. So let's go ahead and get into these ingredients because I cannot wait to have this comfort snack later on today. First thing we're gonna need is cheesecake, right? So we're gonna use some Philadelphia cream cheese. We have 2 of these, one for the cheesecakes and one for the icing. Also, inside the cheesecake itself, we're gonna be using some Eagle brand sweetened condensed milk, that pure vanilla extract, cinnamon, and an egg. We have 1 large egg in here, if you can see that, already cracked. And then our graham cracker crust. I have the honey, and you know I like to use a little fresh stacks when they have fresh stacks, so I'm not using too much. We used about 2.5 of the fresh stacks are there, and we already have that crushed up. I used my blender already to get that done. And in order to make that crust, we needed about 4 tablespoons of melted butter, and they're already here. So first things first, we got our mixer. Remember, this is one of my favorite gifts. We got our mixer already plugged up and it's ready to go. We have that wire wrist right here, and that's what we're going to be using. So we want to take this and get this 1 bar in here. Now, if you want to double this recipe, you can. The way we're doing it right now, it's only going to make about 12 mini cheesecakes, and they're going to be the size of cupcakes. Basically, just small little cupcakes is what it's gonna look like. So we're gonna get this out and get that whole block in there. You know how I am. I paid for this food, right? So I want all my stuff. Let's go ahead and get that in there. And I'm gonna put this down, and I'm gonna start it on stir. That way we can start to get that going, kind of loosen it up. I've already rinsed the top of my sweetened condensed milk. So we're gonna give this a crack open. And that whisk is gonna try to hold everything together. The thing is, you don't wanna over whisk it because then you're gonna have all those cracks and everything else in your cheesecake. But right now, since it's at that level, I'm trying to get some of that out. So I went ahead and sped it up some a little bit. It's about on the 4. And I'm gonna start pouring this milk in here. Now I know some people that actually add sugar to theirs. I don't, because this milk already has sugar in it. So you're not going to use the entire can of milk. There's probably about like this much left in the can. So I'll say use about 2/3 of the can. You want this to get kind of creamy. And start slowing it back down some. Back to stir. And we're going to add in our egg. And since we are adding in an egg, this means it's no longer a no-bake cheesecake, right? Because we got that egg in there. We have our oven on at 350 degrees. It's already been preheated. So you want to really make sure that egg gets incorporated in here. And we're going to have this pure vanilla extract. As you can see, I had to go buy me a new one. I love pure vanilla extract, guys. It makes everything taste so much better. So we're gonna do about maybe a teaspoon of pure vanilla extract in here. If you want a little bit more of that vanilla flavor coming out, you can do maybe up to like 2 teaspoons or 3. It's up to you if you really want it strong. But I did about a teaspoon. And remember, it is a mini cinnamon and vanilla. So with the cinnamon, I'm gonna be a little bit more generous, okay? We have maybe about 2 teaspoons. You know, solids kind of measure out a little bit different than liquids, so I can smell that cinnamon, I can smell that vanilla, and you know, most of the times for fall, you have that smell of like cinnamon going, apples, vanilla, all that. So this is really great. It's fall. I'm happy. The smell is like bringing in that fall, making it a little bit happy for me right now. So like I said, this is kind of like a comfort thing for me. So I'm going to take the spoon that I had the egg with, and I'm going to go ahead and scrape some of the wire with some of that cheese is still up in here. And then you want to get the edges of the bowl. You just want to make sure everything gets incorporated in and mixed really well. All right, so we got some of these chunks still on my spoon. I'm putting them on the bottom of this whisk here. And get that mixed in. Remember, we're making cheesecake, so we don't want it to be mixed up too much, because we don't want all those extra cracks and stuff when they bake it. So this looks like it's been mixed really well, and as far as I can see, the chunks are pretty good. So you have that dripping down here. And that way you can see the mixture right here. Nice and smooth. There's a few chunks, but it's okay. We're making this at home. We're good here. Now first, what we're gonna do for our graham cracker crust is we've already crushed up these graham crackers and we already melted 4 tablespoons of butter. So we're gonna start by pouring this butter in here. Do about 2 to start the mixing. And pour the rest of it on in here. Because I did 2.5 of those fresh stacks, we're gonna melt the rest. So I put in 2.5 of those fresh stacks, and we started out with the 4 tablespoons of melted butter. This consistency isn't how I would like it, so I went back and melted 4 more tablespoons of butter. And I'm gonna pour that in there as well. And mix it up. You don't want it to be too grainy. You kind of want that butter to get on like every little nook and cranny in here. So finish this off. And it is cinnamon vanilla mini cheesecake. So I want that cinnamon even in the crust too. So we're gonna put about a teaspoon of cinnamon in here and mix that on in. I got the honey graham crackers, so it has that nice sweet flavor going to it. And so you can see, that's the consistency you wanted. Butter is nice and buttered all over. And yes, it may look like it's nice and greasy or whatever right now, but I promise you it's gonna make a really great crust. So now it's time for the assembly. And we have our cupcake tin. I've already put these little liners in here. Got them for like $1 at the Food Lion. And of course it's cheesecake. Cheesecake has crust. So you take the crust here and just put it in there. Right now we're gonna start off by making sure we have enough crust to put in each of the liners here. So just try to evenly distribute it out. Again, if you are making stuff, I know I said it in previous videos, but if you are making stuff with your kids, you just make sure the kiddos wash their hands really good. This can be a step that they do. They'll probably feel like they're playing with some mushy Play-Doh or something like that. So that's something to always keep in mind. Start them off young. That way they know what to do when they get older. And I know growing up, a lot of times people like to have those gender roles, but hey, men gotta eat too, right? So some of the world's greatest bakers are men. So make sure that you get both your kids. If you got girl and boys, whatever, just both of them. They'll always remember the memories, guys. They will always remember it. And you don't know, they may be the next Cake Boss or Duff or whoever else. You never know. So let's go ahead and get this all in here. And you're probably looking like, I know she's not gonna leave that like this. No, we're not gonna leave this like this. Now this is what I'm saying is really good for the kids. It feels like Play-Doh. And basically you just go in and push it on out. Push it to where you want it. Now, if you want to use some kind of other tool other than your hands, feel free. Me, I'm gonna use my hands. I wash my hands. So, and that way you can see one crust here. How it looks in there is nice and flat. You can see that one crust. So all the crusts have been pushed down as flat as we can get them, the way we want them. And what we're going to do is take our ice cream scoop and then we're gonna fill these up. Basically, you don't wanna go too far up. You can do about 2/3 of a way. You've already done like 1/3 with the crust itself. So we're just gonna take it, do one quick stir around, and then, so you're not making too much of a mess, make sure you kind of scrape it back against there. And just pull it back again. I always start off with 2 scoops in each one. And then at the end, whatever's left in this bowl here, I'll go back over and top the ones that seem like it needs a little bit more. So we filled up our liners and I went back over them and added about another scoop to each one. So you can probably start off with about 3 per liner. And we're gonna put these in the oven at 350 degrees for about 15 minutes. And I'll chat back in with you then. So our 15 minutes are up. I know you see these, they have nice smooth tops on them, right? And I know a few of them have some cracks going. That's okay. Cracks just mean somewhat you're about to be almost over baking. They're not that big, so we're good. We're gonna take some of this caramel syrup. Now, you can do what I'm doing using the Hershey's caramel syrup, or you can make some homemade caramel sauce if you know how to do that. Remember, I like to keep it simple. So today I'm taking this and I'm just gonna put a little dab on each one. So I get that little caramel flavor going. I'm doing it while it's hot because we're gonna have to cool these down anyway. Just a little bit. You can say about a tablespoon, just squeeze how much you want out of them on each one. And we are going to place these in the refrigerator for about an hour to 2 hours so they're nice and cool. While it's in the refrigerator and it's getting cool, when they get close to the end time, we're gonna start making that icing. So the icing has that cream cheese in there, that heavy whipping cream, some pure vanilla extract, and some powdered sugar. It's gonna be good, guys. So I'll check back in with you once these have cooled down. So our cheesecakes are still in the fridge, cooling off. They've been in there for about 2 hours so far. And we are going to go ahead and make that whipped cream frosting I was telling you guys about. So we have our wire whisk already been cleaned, as well as our bowl. And we are going to put in that other Philadelphia cream cheese bar in here. And you want all of these ingredients, your cream cheese bar, as well as your heavy whipping cream, to be cold while we're doing this. So while you put that everything in, you can leave all of that in the fridge. So while you're making the cheesecake and you're baking it and you got your cheesecakes cooling, your other bar and your heavy whipping cream can stay in the fridge until you're ready for it. So we need this whole 8-ounce bar here. And drop that in. And remember, I like to get all my ingredients. I paid for it, so I'm gonna eat it. So we got that going in there. And we're gonna turn this whisk on. Start with a stir here. We have our powdered sugar, confectionery sugar, whichever one you want to pick up. I noticed I kind of changed the bag. In big it says powdered, but in small it says confectioner. So we have a cup of this. I'm gonna start pouring that in there as well. Make that go a little bit faster. Because remember that whisk likes to hold in whatever you put in there, whether it's butter or cream cheese or something like that. The whisk likes to really hold it in. And this cream cheese is going to be just like we're making that buttercream icing. So you put a whole cup of that powdered sugar in there. And it's getting to be nice and thick, kind of like. So you're going to shake this up. And we're going to do about 2 3/4 cups. Start with 1. Be careful, turn it down low. And then turn it back up some. Just start off with 1 cup first. But we're gonna go ahead and measure out that second one. And while it's trying to get thick, because basically we are like whipping cream, right? So I'm going to pause this and scrape the sides of the bowl with this cream cheese. Make sure everything gets down in here. I'm going to set that there and turn it back up as high as we can right now. So now we're going to pour in that second cup. And you want it cold so it holds those peaks and everything. And then I said about 3/4, so 2 3/4 cup, right? We got that measured out. Got a little whipped cream on my hands, so wipe that off. And now that that's going, we're gonna pull that back up on high. And then that last 3/4 cup. Now you're probably thinking, she's gonna put this on the cheesecake and it's gonna be like regular whipped cream and it's gonna melt. No, it's not, guys. So once we put that on the cheesecake and then sprinkle on top our cinnamon to get that little extra cinnamon kick in there, we're gonna keep these cheesecakes in the fridge, right? So it's going to seem like a buttercream icing on top is what it's gonna seem like. It's so great. So now we're going to go ahead and pour in about 1.5 teaspoons of that vanilla, that pure vanilla extract. Make sure that gets mixed well as well. So you can see, I know you see that thickness in this and how it's trying to come down a little bit here. I'll go ahead and kind of scoop this right on down with the rest of it. But our whipped cream icing, guys. So let's get the cheesecakes out of the fridge. They should be nice and set. I'm not taking them to anybody. They're just gonna be my comfort food. So I'm just gonna put them in my little Sterilite container and eat them as I see fit. So you can see that right there. You see that caramel on top. Told you they're gonna look like little cupcakes. So only 9 of them will actually fit in here. And I have 2 more over here that we're gonna also ice, as well as this one that you know I'm gonna eat. So let's go ahead and get our piping bag and put some of that whipped icing in here. Now this icing, I noticed it's also good on cakes as well, depending on what kind of cake you're making. So if you're doing like a red velvet cake, this cream cheese actually goes pretty good with it, guys. Okay, so we got some icing in here. I'm gonna knock it down best as we can. Squeeze it on down, squeeze it on down. And we'll start off with that. And you know, if you saw how I did the Clemson cupcakes, I like to start in the middle, work my way out, and then come back up. Thing about it with being cheesecakes though, I don't put that much icing on here. The icing adds extra to the cheesecake. Trust me, it does. But you don't want to take away from the glory of the cheesecake either, so. Excuse the sirens if you hear those. There's always something in the town I live in. Okay, so that amount of icing we did was just enough for those 9. And we're gonna add some more in here because we got 3 more. I know some people will be like, well, I'm just eating the other one. Yeah, I want it the same way as everything else, you know what I mean? You cooking this, you making this for yourself, so treat yourself. Enjoy. I always kind of believe that food is like an art. So we have our cheesecakes iced, right? And we're gonna sprinkle some of this ground cinnamon on top. Remember, we said it's cinnamon vanilla cheesecake. So you don't want it to get like too much, a lot. So just kind of put it up there and just do like a little pat over it. Just a little bit, get a nice little sprinkle, you know what I mean? And so that you can see it without the wrapper, guys. There's that mini cheesecake. You see that icing, that caramel coming down. Ooh, I almost lost them. I was gonna be sad. But look at them. It smells so great. It looks even better. So if you follow the recipe, all the ingredients, all the directions, all that will be down in the description box below. If you follow this recipe, you'll be able to make 12. If you need more than 12, you need like 24, and then just double it up. The icing, you will not need to double up. There's plenty of icing still left in here. I can use this for some cupcakes or something else later, maybe like a whoopie pie maybe if I feel like it, but everything will be in the description box down below. I hope you guys have a great day. Don't forget to like, comment, and subscribe. Until next time, bye.